不安定なんですけど。ダメです。倒れそう。他の持っていきましょう。絶対倒れますねこれ。
Namanda, it's Namanda, it's Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Good morning. It's great to see you all today. My name is Beryl Potter, and I would like to thank you for attending this morning's Dharma Family and Pet Memorial Service. We will begin the service with a moment of quiet sitting. Reverend C.J. Dunford will strike the bell, and we will sit for 1 or 2 minutes to quiet our minds and prepare to hear the Dharma. Then they will strike the bell again, and we will continue with the service.
As we sit together today, let us feel the ground beneath our feet. Supporting us, giving us life. As we sit together today, let us notice our clothes against our skin, the seat beneath our bottoms and our back, supporting us. As we sit together today, Let us notice the oxygen, the air, as it enters our lungs, providing us with life. As we sit together today, let us notice thoughts and feelings as they arise. Breathing in, we greet them as we would an old friend, without judgment. Breathing out with gentleness and kindness, we let these sensations, these thoughts go. Breathing in, many things arise. Our thoughts, feelings, sensations. We greet them with kindness. And breathing out, we let them go. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman love, naman love, naman love, naman love, naman love.
Reverend CJ will offer the dedication and read the deceased pets' names. After the reading of names, Reverend CJ will chant the Jusege, which is on page 93 of the Purple Service Book. During the chanting, we invite all pet memorial families to come up to offer incense.
Hyōyaku dedication. Today, on the occasion of the combined Dharma family and pet memorial service, the members of the Berkeley Buddhist Temple have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory of their beloved pets. Our pets share their unconditional love with us. Through them, we learn about interdependence and compassion, two aspects of the Buddha Dharma. Pets teach us about impermanence of life, and today we come together to express our gratitude for the animals that share our lives. With deepest reverence and gratitude for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we affirm the three homages. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman love, naman love, naman love, naman love, naman love. I'll now read the names for our pet memorial service this year. Thunderfoot, Benji, Bun Bun, Hank, Buddy, Three Spot, Thurston, Rosie, Aya, Panda, Sakura, Daisuke, Shiba, Hermione, Baby Cat, Pearl Cat, Sierra, Pancho, Bert and Ernie, and Audrey Hepburn. No one loves, no one loves, no one loves, no one loves, no one loves. Jusege, again on page 93. Jusege comes from the larger Sutra of Immeasurable Life. In that sutra, Bodhisattva Dharmakara, who becomes the Buddha Amida, declares to the Buddha Lokeshvara Raja their intention to become a Buddha. The three sacred vows of the Jusege refer to Dharmakara's pledge to 1. Establish the most incomparable vow in the world. 2. To become a great provider and save the poor and the suffering. And 3. To attain Buddhahood and have the name Namo Amida Butsu heard throughout the 10 quarters of the universe. 초세감 희시무조도 시간 후만속 세이후조쇼각 가오무료코 후이다이세슈 후사이쇼빙구 세이후조쇼각 가시조붓도 묘쇼쇼지포 극효미쇼몽 세이후조쇼각 리오그진쇼냄 조회슈번교 시그무조도 이쇼템닌시 진리기엠다이코 후쇼무사이도 쇼조산금요 고사이슈야근남 하이히지에겐 메시콘모암 헤이소크쇼아그도 스답젠슈몽 고소졸만속 이오로지포 니치갑추주키 텐코온푸겜 이슈카이호소 고세 苦毒法上大集中説法ししく供養一切分具足修徳本願念心上満徳意三害用女仏無下知津田未不詳願学エリク投資最小尊志願若国家大戦の感動国書天人とうち妙見ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ願にしくどく平等性一切道本菩提心往生安楽ナモアミダ仏ナモアミダ仏ナモアミダ仏ナマンダ仏ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダ仏ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブ
Please rise if you are able to follow along with the Gatha Metta, which is on page 178 of the Purple Service Book. Please remain standing for the reading of the Three Treasures One. Well done. I will now recite the Three Treasures One on page 8 of the Purple Service Book. Please feel free to follow along. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Manda Samanda. We will now have a children's Dharma message by Reverend CJ.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. This is my favorite service all year because I love animals. Sorry, I should have done this before we lowered the screen, but please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Last year, in the summer, I had the great fortune of going to Japan, and I visited one of my best friends, my family in Japan, Nami, and I stayed with her family in Yokohama. And so every time I go to Japan, all 2 times, I've tried to go stay with her and her family for at least a month. And while I was there, it was really hot in the summertime, but we still went out and had some adventures, and we went to Tokyo. She's a music therapist. And so we met long, long ago when I was doing undergrad and she was doing grad school, and I was living in Virginia, and we've been friends for like 20 years, I think. It's pretty long. That's my oldest friend. And so she asked me if I wanted to go see Hachiko. And I think one of the first Dharma talks I gave was for the Pet Memorial Service like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. And it was about Hachiko. But I found this book that I wanted to share. And so we went and saw Hachiko, the statue that I'll talk about in this book. And it was cool, but it was also really crowded, and it was hot and sticky. And so I didn't get to take a picture with the statue. Like, there was a very long line, and it just didn't seem like something I wanted to do. But it was really nice to finally see the statue of Hachiko. And so I'd like to share with you for this Pet Memorial Service the story of Hachiko. And this is from a book written by Pamela S. Turner and illustrated by Jan Nasimbene. I think that's Italian. I don't speak Italian, so I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. Pam Turner lived in Japan and all over the world, and she was really touched by the story of Hachiko, so she wrote this book, and I wanted to share it with you all. Okay. I cried a little bit while reading it before, so get ready for the waterworks. The story is Hachiko, the true story of a loyal dog. There's a statue of my old friend at the entrance to Shibuya Station. His bronze feet are bright and shiny, polished by thousands of friendly hands. There's a sign that says simply, "Loyal Dog Hachiko." I close my eyes and remember the day we met so long ago. When I was 6 years old, my family moved to a little house in Tokyo near the Shibuya Station. At first, the trains frightened me, but after a while, I grew to enjoy their power and the furious noises that they made. One day, I begged Mama to take me to come meet Papa as he came home on the afternoon train. She laughed and said, "Kentaro, you have become big and brave just like a samurai." Together, we walked to the station. It was spring, and the day was clear and cold. There were tiny carts all around the station selling snacks, newspapers, and hundreds of other things to the crowds of people rushing by. Ladies in kimono walked carefully, trying to keep their white tabi away from the grime of the streets. Businessmen strode about, hurrying home or to catch another train. Mama and I stopped near the station entrance when I noticed the dog. He was sitting quietly, all alone, by a newspaper stand. He had thick, cream-colored fur, small pointed ears, and a broad, bushy tail that curved up over his back. I wondered if the dog was a stray, but he was wearing a nice leather harness and looked healthy and strong. Oh, I didn't change the slide, sorry. There's a picture. His brown eyes were fixed on the station entrance. Just then, Papa appeared. He was chatting with an older man. The dog bounded over to the man, his entire body wiggling and quivering with delight. His eyes shone, and his mouth curled up into something that looked to me like a smile. "Ah, Kentaro, you see, Dr. Ueno, you're not the only one who is someone to welcome him," said Papa. He introduced us to the older man. He said, "Dr. Ueno works with me at Tokyo Imperial University." "What's your dog's name?" I asked timidly. The dog was beautiful, but his sharp face reminded me of a wolf's. I grabbed Mama's kimono and stepped behind her just in case. "Don't be afraid," said Dr. Ueno kindly. "This is Hachiko. He is big, but still a puppy. He walks me to the station every morning and waits for me to come home every afternoon. I think Hachiko stores up all his joy all day long and then lets it out all at once." Hachiko stood wagging his tail next to Dr. Ueno. I reached out to touch him, and he bounced forward and sniffed my face. I yelped and jumped back to behind Mama. They all laughed. "Oh, Kentaro, don't worry. He just wants to get to know you," said Dr. Ueno. "Dogs can tell a lot about people just by smelling them. Why, Hachiko probably knows what you ate for lunch." I sniffed my hand, but it didn't smell like rice balls to me. I reached out and touched Hachiko gently on the shoulder. "His fur is so thick and soft," I said, "like a bear's." "Dogs like Hachiko once hunted bears in the north, where it was very cold and snowy," said Dr. Ueno, kneeling down next to me and rubbing Hachiko's ears. From that day on, I went to the station almost every afternoon, but I no longer went to see the trains. I went to see Hachiko. He was always there, waiting near the newspaper stand. I often saved a morsel from my lunch and hid it in one of my pockets. Hachiko would sniff me all over, wagging his tail until he found a bit of sticky fish or soybean cake. Then he would nudge me with his nose as if to say, "Give me my prize." When it was cold, I would bury my face in the thick ruff of his creamy fur around his neck. One day in May, I was waiting at the station with Hachiko. The moment I saw Papa, I knew something was wrong. He was alone and walked hunched over, staring sadly at the gray pavement under his feet. "What's the matter, Papa?" I asked him anxiously. Standing with one hand on Hachiko's broad head, he sighed, "Kentaro, let's go home." Hachiko's bright brown eyes followed us as we walked away, but he stayed behind, waiting for Dr. Ueno. When we got home, Papa told me that Dr. Ueno had died that morning at the university. I was stunned. "But what will happen to Hachiko?" I asked, blinking hard to keep the tears back. "What will he do?" "I don't know," said Papa. "Perhaps Dr. Ueno's relatives will take care of him." "What about tonight?" I asked. "Can we go see if he's all right?" Papa was very sad and tired, but he walked me back to the station. Hachiko was curled up by the newspaper stand. He wagged his tail when he saw us. Papa and I gave him water in an old chipped bowl and some food. Hachiko ate and drank, but he kept looking up toward the station entrance for Dr. Ueno. Papa and I left even sadder than we'd come. The next day, I went back to check on Hachiko, but he was not there. Papa told me that Hachiko had been taken several miles away to live with some of Dr. Ueno's relatives. "But I'll never see him again," I cried. "Why can't he live with us?" "We don't have room for a dog," protested Papa. "And Hachiko really belongs with Dr. Ueno's relatives. Now that Dr. Ueno is dead, Hachiko is better off having a home than sitting at a train station." But Hachiko had other ideas. A few days later, he was back at Shibuya Station, waiting patiently, his brown eyes fixed on the entrance. Hachiko had run back to his old home, and from there to the Shibuya Station. Mama and Papa let me take food and water to Hachiko every day. Mama grumbled a bit about the food, saying we couldn't afford to feed a big bear like Hachiko. But she always seemed to cook more rice than we could eat. Other people at the station took an interest in Hachiko. Men and women who rode Papa and Dr. Ueno's train stopped by to scratch his ears and say a few kind words. One day I saw an old man filling Hachiko's water bowl as Hachiko licked his hand. The old man's hair was streaked with gray, and he was stooped, as if he had spent most of his life bent over the ground, but his eyes were sharp and bright as Hachiko's. "Are you young Kentaro?" the old man asked. I nodded. "I'm Mr. Kobayashi. I was Dr. Ueno's gardener. Dr. Ueno told me that you and Hachiko often wait for the afternoon train together." "Do you still take care of the house where Dr. Ueno lived?" I asked. "Yes," said Mr. Kobayashi. "Hachiko comes back to the house every night to sleep on the porch, but in the morning he walks to the station just like he did with Dr. Ueno. When the last train leaves the station, he returns home." We were both silent. Then I asked, "Do you think Hachiko knows that Dr. Ueno died?" Mr. Kobayashi said thoughtfully, "I don't know, Kentaro. Perhaps he still hopes that Dr. Ueno will return someday. Or perhaps he knows Dr. Ueno is dead, but he wants the station to honor his master's memory." As the years passed and Hachiko got older, he became very stiff and could barely walk to Shibuya Station. But still he went every day. People began collecting money to build a statue of Hachiko at the station. Papa, Mama, and I all gave money, and we were happy when the statue was placed next to the spot Hachiko had waited for so many years. One chilly morning, I woke to the sound of Mama crying. "What's wrong?" I asked, as I stumbled into the kitchen. Papa sat silently at the table, and Mama turned her tear-stained face to me. "Hachiko died last night at Shibuya Station," she choked. "Still waiting for Dr. Ueno." I was 17 and too big to cry, but I went to the other room and didn't come out for a long time. Later that day, we all went to the station. To our great surprise, Hachiko's spot near the newspaper stand was covered in flowers, placed there by his many friends. Old Mr. Kobayashi was there. He shuffled over to me and put a hand on my shoulder. "Hachiko didn't come back to the house last night," he said quietly. "I walked to the station and found him. I think his spirit is with Dr. Ueno's, don't you?" "Yes," I whispered. The big bronze statue of Hachiko is a very famous meeting place. Shibuya Station is enormous now, and hundreds of thousands of people travel through it every day. People always say to each other, "Let's meet at Hachiko." Today, Hachiko is a place where friends and family long separated come together again. Oops. The story behind the story. Okay. Some years ago, my family moved to Tokyo, and we rented a house not far from Shibuya Station. Everyone, it seemed, knew that Hachiko's statue was there and was a place to meet at the huge train station. It's true, it's very, very easy to get lost there. No matter what time of day or night I visited Shibuya, I would always see someone standing near the large bronze dog with eyes searching for the crowd. My Japanese friends told me Hachiko's story. Hachiko was born in northern Japan in November 1923, and a few months later, he was sent to Dr. Ueno in Tokyo. When Dr. Ueno died on May 21st, 1925, they had been together for just over a year. In October 1932, a newspaper reporter wrote a story about Hachiko. The headline read, "A faithful dog awaits the return of master, dead for 7 years." People began traveling to Shibuya from all over Japan just to pet loyal Hachiko. Hachiko's vigil at Shibuya Station lasted almost 10 months. He died March 7th, 1935, 1 year earlier. A bronze statue of Hachiko had been placed near the entrance to Shibuya Station, right next to the spot where he always waited for Dr. Ueno. There's an old photo of the real Hachiko next to the bronze one, surrounded by a crowd of people. Hachiko seems to be wondering what all the fuss is about. During World War II, the Japanese military was desperately short of metals, and so many statues, including Hachiko's, were melted down. But Hachiko was not forgotten. In 1947, a few years later, after the war ended, the son of the original sculptor made a new statue of Hachiko, which stands there still. Every spring, there's a special Hachiko festival at Shibuya Station. It's always held on April 8th, 1 month after Hachiko's death anniversary, when Tokyo's cherry trees are in full bloom. The Shibuya mayor, police chief, and station master are always there. A Shinto priest performs a ceremony, and Hachiko's friends come to admire the beautiful wreaths of flowers that are displayed around the statue. I thought Hachiko's story was lovely, both sad and wonderful, and I wanted to share it. Kentaro was invented for the story, but I'm sure many children who lived near Shibuya Station knew and loved Hachiko. Okay. Was it a sad story? Yeah, a little sad. It's kind of a nice story too, though. when I was, like I said, I grew up kind of in the country, and my family always had dogs and cats and ducks and lots of different animals around. And so I grew up really loving animals. So when I read this story, like, I can't read it without crying, because I can feel a lot of those emotions that I've experienced from pets that I've had in the past. And so when I think about Amida Buddha, I often think about the love that our pets show to us and how unconditional that is. And so that's why this is such a special service for me. So thank you for sharing your pets with everyone. I think it's wonderful. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Reverend CJ, for a wonderful, beautiful, and touching message, Dharma message this morning. Please rise if you are able to follow along with the Gatha, Returning Home, which is on page 210 of the Purple Service Book. We'll sing it twice through. Right. Now we would like to welcome the following new guests. Tai Wong, please stand. Yes, thank you. Demi Zek. Welcome. And Henry Norris Jr. Welcome. All righty, thank you, and welcome, and we will commune with you later, right? Okay, you may be seated, thank you. We will now read the announcements that have been submitted. The online meditation and discussion takes place Wednesdays, April 17th at 7 p.m. Please sign up on the website. Virtual yoga will take place Thursday, April 18th from 8 a.m. to 8:20 a.m. And that's all we have. So, thank you. Seems like something is missing. For those, thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought. The BBT Dharmanar monthly online study session will take place Thursday, May 2nd at 6:30 p.m. The topic is birth and karma. The sign-up link is on our website. Reverend Matsumoto's retirement celebration takes place June 15th at 11 a.m. at the Mountain View Buddhist Temple. If you wish to attend the celebration, please sign up online. The flyer with details is posted in the social hall and also included in the weekly email. Our temple may rent a bus if there's enough interest. And it would leave BBT around 9 a.m. and return around 3 p.m. It costs approximately $40 per person. So please let the temple office know if you're interested in taking a bus. And there might be a sign up outside or something. The Jodo Shinshu parking center parking will be available next Sunday, April 21st. Due to the resurfacing project of the lot, parking is limited to the spaces along the back wall by the temple and downstairs. Please see the posted signs and park accordingly. The gate will be open at 9 a.m. and close at 9:30 sharp. And now Karen Sensei will come to talk about the 2024 Satsuki Bazaar.
Good morning, everyone. I am Karen Kato, and I'm here to do a brief bazaar announcement. Hopefully it's brief. So it's 1 month countdown to bazaar. It is on May 19th, Sunday. It's a one-day event, May 19th, 12 to 6. And as you all know, it's our biggest fundraiser of the year. And it's a great event for our Sangha to come together. This year we'll be having entertainment again for the Arts Festival. We have a magician and juggler, Albany High School Ensemble, and Gagaku and Taiko. So that'll be really fun. I have 6 requests of you. 1, share the date with all your family and friends. Get the word out, help us get the word out. 2, steak dinners are available for ordering online. See our website. We also have a fundraiser. No raffle tickets anymore. So any donation is appreciated, but the raffle tickets were worth about $150. So but anything is, we're very grateful for anything. Silent auction. So number 4, silent auction is seeking donations this month. So if you have anything that has a value of about $50 or higher, there's an information sheet in the old temple. Please bring them in this month. It really helps us get those things logged and online sooner. Number 5, bake sale. Consider baking something for the bake sale. You could drop it off on Saturday or Sunday. And then lastly, the work schedule, the near and dear to my heart. So there's 5, the good news is 86% of the people have confirmed the 508 shifts that we have available. The not so good news is 14% are still being confirmed, and we have 28 open shifts, and we're finalizing the schedule this week. So if you're interested in seeing the list of open shifts, let me know, and I'm going to send those out this week. And that's it. That's everything. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Now, the students will be dismissed to their classes. Would Dharma school students please go to the front, present Oshoku, and go to your classrooms. All others are invited to remain for the adult Dharma talk. We will now have a Dharma message by Reverend C.J. Dunford.
Good morning, everyone. I didn't expect to be so emotional for that first Dharma talk. I don't expect to be for this one, but we'll see how it goes. If you'll please join me in Gasho, I'd like to share some words from Venerable Shinran. Tathagata pervades the countless worlds. It fills the hearts and minds of the ocean of all beings. Thus, plants, trees, and land all attain Buddhahood. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 This passage comes from our founder, Venerable Shinran's notes on the essentials of faith alone. It is my very favorite work of his. In this passage, he's describing an important aspect of the nature of Buddha. And I hope that I'm not diving too much into a rabbit hole here, because I do that sometimes when I'm studying the Buddha Dharma. And if that's what I'm about to share for the next couple of minutes isn't that interesting, feel free to take a nap or dissociate. But if you're a nerd like me and want to know a little bit more about Buddhist religious philosophy, then hold on to your seats. Many of us in this age of science and rationality only really might be concerned with the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, the Indian prince who gave up his royalty and eventually found enlightenment. There's a sort of secular Buddhism that only focuses on our tradition as a logical, philosophical understanding of the world. But in truth, Buddhism has a rich metaphysical outlook of the world too. Here's what I'd like to talk about today, and that's the Buddhist doctrine of three bodies, not the three-body problem if you've read that book. Okay, no nerds here. This is a doctrine that developed throughout all of the lineages of Buddhism, but is often erased in the West in favor of secularist Buddhism. And the three-body doctrine, or Trikaya in Sanskrit, teaches that Buddhas manifest in three ways. The first one is the fulfilled body, or ultimate truth, or the essence body. And this we can think of as inconceivable energy, an unseen force of wisdom and compassion that guides us, light and life, something that goes beyond our words and our conceptions. The second manifestation of Buddha is the enjoyment body. Often cosmological Buddhas are seen in their Buddha fields, like Amida Buddha. Usually when we see statues or mandalas of Amida in the Pure Land, this is a manifestation of Buddha, just like the statue we have here. And then the third is the transformed body, where Buddha takes on a physical life as a sentient being. And a perfect example of that is Shakyamuni Buddha. I'm really doing a lot of nerdy references in this talk, so I'm sorry if I lose some of you. But George Lucas actually spent some time learning from Japanese Buddhists. Does everyone know what Star Wars is? Okay. I thought I might not lose people on this one. And so his reference to in the first film to the Force is sort of an indirect reference to this idea of Buddha bodies, specifically the fulfilled body. And so in the first film, the one from the 70s, where Obi-Wan is beginning to train Luke Skywalker, he's describing the Force to Luke, and he says, "The Force is what gives a Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living beings. It surrounds us and penetrates us and binds the galaxy together. I know that's a Star Wars reference, but like I love Star Wars, and so thinking of that helped me to understand this idea of the fulfilled body, the ultimate truth, or the essence body. And so in a way, we can imagine the fulfilled body or essence body of the Buddha in this way. For us as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, it would be more like something that isn't generated from us, but it moves through us in our lives as wisdom and compassion. And so in the passage that we read at the start of the Dharma talk, this essence body of Buddha is what Venerable Shinran was referring to. And he was also referring to the transformed body as well. He says, Tathagata pervades the countless worlds. It fills the hearts and minds of the ocean of all beings. Thus plants, trees, and land all attain Buddhahood. So Tathagata, pervading the countless worlds and filling the hearts and minds of all beings, is the essence body of Buddha, the fulfilled body of Buddha, a force of wisdom and compassion that permeates the universe. And when we find ourselves in a state of spiritual maturity, then we can see the Buddha manifesting itself in any number of ways. Today, for Pet Memorial Service, I encourage us to think about our little animal friends in that way. Cute little guys who become Buddhas just for us, to teach us compassion. I have some friends to share. I know most of us probably have a lot of stories to tell about our animal friends, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about Sheba, who was a mixed collie I grew up with as my sister, and she's on the left there, and Bean, who's still with me, luckily. She's my current housemate on the right. My family adopted Sheba as a tiny puppy when I was only 2 years old, so we literally grew up together. I remember always playing with her, and while most of the time we were usually sweet to one another, sometimes I wasn't so nice to her. I remember that after I'd learned to ride my bike, me and my sister would ride it around our yard, but Sheba always followed us. She wanted to hang out too, and maybe she wanted to make sure that we were safe. Maybe she just wanted to play, but I was annoyed with her because I was afraid of hitting her with my bike. You know, I think that's something parents do sometimes. You get mad at your kid because you're going to hurt them or they're going to hurt themselves or something. And so then you end up not having as much fun as you'd like to have. And so I might yell at her, chase her away. But she didn't really listen. And that made me more angry with her. Eventually, I finally understood, maybe after some conversations with my parents, that she was just trying to play too. And so we did that and lots of other activities together after I sort of figured out what she was doing. And she didn't understand me when I was telling her to leave me alone and let me ride my bike. We had a small creek behind my house where I grew up, and even though my mom was convinced I'd get bitten by a snake, I'd sometimes go to the creek to play in the hot Virginia summers. And sometimes Sheba would come along. I remember one time she had a crawdad stuck in her fur. I was worried it would pinch her, but I never liked touching bugs and fish and slimy things, and so I didn't dare take it out. But I did manage to get a stick. I got a stick, and she knows how to sit, so I told her to sit, and I managed to tease out this crawdad with a stick. I'm not sure why, but I remember this memory really, really well. I think Sheba taught me to be kind and to try to understand what she was doing, even though we couldn't talk to each other using English. And I think that's Buddha teaching me through Sheba how to be compassionate, even though I may not fully understand someone else. Now I'd like to talk about Bean. Bean's very snuggly and affectionate. She always loves cuddles, and sometimes she's a little clumsy. She also follows me everywhere I go in my apartment. I only have 4 rooms, including the bathroom, but she always follows me into every single room. I think she gets scared when I'm not there. She even follows me when I go potty. When I cook dinner, she gets curious about what I'm doing and trips me up. And when I sit down and have a Zoom meeting, she hops on my lap and falls asleep. When I watch TV, she curls up on my belly and falls asleep. I don't let her into my bedroom, though, because I have a little bit of allergies, and it makes me grumpy when I get allergies. So I try to not have her sleeping with me overnight. But when I come out in the morning, she greets me with purrs and with meows. And when I come home from temple, from work, from school, she's always very happy to see me. Sometimes, though, I've realized that her neediness is a lot. When I'm cooking and she wants snuggles, I've tripped over her a few times and stepped on her paw or her tail a couple of times. I don't think it ever really hurt her, but it definitely scared her, and she let out a meow and ran to the other room. And when this happens, I'd get a little mad at her, but I'd also get mad at myself for not paying attention. And so whenever those things happen, I think a lot about what she's trying to teach me. I think our animal friends can teach us a lot if we just pay attention. And sometimes she chews up my Dharma talks, too. I know there's jokes about your dog eating your homework, but she literally eats my homework. And so she tries my patience a lot, but I know that she loves me dearly. And so I've learned to be patient with her and learned to just try to be sweet and understanding, even though I can't make her understand that she's driving me crazy sometimes. And so Bean is my little kitty Buddha, helping me to be patient and gentle even when I'm grumpy and I don't understand. I'm sure we can all think of stories like these that we have with our little animal friends. And this is a memorial service, and I'm happy that so many of us are here to share our little furry or scaly Buddhas who've been in our lives. I hope we can all feel grateful for the ones that we can't be with anymore, and also cherish the precious time with the little Buddhas that we have in our lives right now. There's one last picture of Bean sleeping on my belly. That's my favorite picture of her. Okay, I'd like to close my Dharma talk with the words of Shinran, my interpretation of the words of Shinran. Please join me in Gassho. Tathagata, Buddha's wisdom and compassion, pervades the countless worlds. It fills the hearts and minds of the ocean of all beings. Thus plants, trees, and land, and kitties, and doggies, and snakes, and lizards, and all our little pet friends, all attain Buddhahood. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 That'll conclude my Dharma talk for today. Now for some thank yous. Thank you very much, Beryl, for being a wonderful chairperson today. This was her first time. Thank you to the live streaming team for all of their help during live streaming service. Thank you to Sarah for your wonderful piano playing and for playing the music for Agatha. And thank you to the April Toban for preparing refreshments in the social hall. This will conclude today's service. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, both in person and remotely.